welcome everybody. I would like to thank Prof. GT Lebona here. He was my professor in 2017 and he left around 2018, 2019. So Professor Lebona, he's from Lesotho, his hometown is Lesotho, and he studied in many countries. He did his grades, young grades there in Kwekwe, Marist Brothers College. And then from there, he also studied in Waterford, Kamhlaba. From there, he furthered his studies in Uganda, where he went to Makerere Medical School University. And after that, I think that was around 1977. That's when he passed his NBCHP with the Masters too. And then he came to Peter Marisbeck. He did his internship there in KZN, where he did his internship for just a year. By 1978, he was done with his internship, and he started to be a senior registrar. He became a senior registrar in King Edward Hospital, and then that was for about also 1 to 2 years. He then joined MEDUNSA. It was back known as MEDUNSA, Medical University of South Africa, which was the campus of Limpopo Province in 1983, and till 2014. Then he was in the anatomy department. He was a professor in the anatomy department there. He ran the department. Sometimes he was taking some breaks. Sometimes he was going back into the HOD. And then in 2015, that's when MEDUNSA became Sefako Makgatho University, and he was still the professor. And as I came in 2015, I had to be honored by his lecturing in 2017 as I was one of his students. And then by 2018, 2019, he was leaving the university. So currently, he's still the professor, associate professor. He's a sessional professor where he takes students online, and he comes to give the medical what you call the dissection, and he gives them lectures till today. And thank you, Professor, for having me today. I really appreciate your time. I did tell you that one of those days we are going to make a great interview. And thank you, Prof, for having me.
Dr. General, really, it's been a privilege to be invited on this platform to share whatever thoughts I may have. I learned from giants like you. You're now in your final year. It's only like yesterday when we met together at Sefako Makgatho 6 years ago, and now time flies. I want to say it's a privilege to be here and to share whatever you would like me to share with you on this platform. And I really appreciate it. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. Yes, indeed. Yeah, and you have said most of the things, and whatever gaps that you want me to fill in, I will definitely fill in, because I'm as much a Lesotho boy from the mountain kingdom of Lesotho, even though I'm also born in the Free State, Tabantu, Bloemfontein, not far from Bloemfontein. So I've got roots in a number of places, including our motherland, South Africa. Yeah, so other gaps will fill in experience in orthopedics in King Edward Hospital, and also having worked also back in Lesotho to give it back, to give back. I didn't have to, but this is the country that gave me all the opportunities to go and study overseas, to go to Makerere, to do part of my internship in England. So I owe it a lot, and I went back just to say thank you to the people of the mountain kingdom of Lesotho, and of course, I'm inspired by a lot of people, but the people who inspire me most are my students. But I can't help but the first person who inspired me was my own father, because he was a medical doctor himself, studied at the University of Witwatersrand. But that's another topic for another time during this discussion. But those are the inspiration, people who inspired me. It's the students that are the giants on whose shoulders I stand. But we come from somewhere, we come also from our parents, who also played a role. And I'm saying so because I see a lot of familiarities between my own parents. My father was born in Randfontein, in the mines there. His father was a miner, and he died. His father died when he was only 15. And his mother worked in the kitchens, the so-called kitchens of Randfontein. And so his background is not different from young people whose parents have no education, single parent because he was almost raised by his own mother. And there was nobody in the family who could afford to send him to school. But there's always somebody who will appreciate you when you work hard. So I was able to go and study at St. Peter's College, Rosendenville, and also go on to Fort Hare, and from Fort Hare to go to medical school, qualifying in 1948. So there is a lesson for all of us to say, appreciate where you come from. Take advantage of the opportunities that you have. It doesn't mean because you are born with a silver spoon in your mouth, you may have to let that go and end up with a wooden spoon. So
yes.
I'll leave it to you. And you have to stop me. Talk. You know me for talking beyond the lecture time of 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Yeah. So that was basically a preamble. I am inspired by people like you. You are the people, Dr. General, whose shoulders I stand on.
Yes. Thank you, Prof. What's more interesting is that you got a background which is very strong. I mean, we of the young people, we really wanted to find out. We really want to find out how was it, to grow up in the situation. In terms of how did you overcome having to move, from the to Free State, then you did your grades, high grades there in Kwekwe, Rhodesia. How was it? How did you manage, to overcome that? Just the high school part. We'll get to the university part, but now we just want to understand the moving, this and that.
Yeah, my story basically is not different to many generations of people long ago who came from South Africa. You hear of people who were in Swaziland and went and studied in schools in Swaziland, and only learned later on that they're actually originally from South Africa with roots that are in Lesotho. This is where our parents try by all means to give us a better education than the one which our grandparents or they had. So in moving from South Africa to then Basutoland, it's my parents trying to forge a better future for their children. Not only for me, but for my other 5 siblings, a family of 7. So you can imagine that it was during the days of the Bantu education where the best schools were not necessarily the ones that people had access to. And I'm using an example here of St. Peter's at Rosendenville in Joburg, which has produced a lot of South Africans of real intellect. We talked about people that went to Hilltown in the Cape. But when my parents took a decision to move to Basutoland, as some did to Bechuanaland, that became Botswana, and others went to Swaziland. Opportunities were there where Basutoland was under the British government. They got their independence in 1966, October the 4th. And they sent me to what was then Southern Rhodesia, because in Rhodesia, there was no what we call racism. There was no law that said blacks cannot attend schools of whites. And I went there before Ian Smith declared UDI on the November 11th, 1965. I went there as a 12-year-old who turned 13 in 1965. And I went to a Marist Brothers College in Kwekwe, as you correctly alluded. A school that took all races, Indians, coloreds, Africans, and whites, Muslims, Hindus, Christians, all denominations. And we learn to respect all cultural backgrounds. If you were from Rhodesia then, whether you came from Matibili land, or you came from Ashona land, or Manika land, you were a human being. The white people that were there, who have become my life friends, people that I went to start Form 1, they had a different program like your O levels, Form 1 to Form 4 and A levels, and after A levels you go to university. They become my lifetime friends. 56 years later, we are now connected by Facebook, by Instagram, by WhatsApp, and it tells you that long before the dream of us becoming a free nation, somewhere in the world, there were people that were getting themselves together. So if I may continue there, then my parents sent me to Kwekwe, Mary's brothers. 12 years, I used to fly there. That's where I got the bite to aviation as a minor. I used to travel there alone.
Now I see now it's coming.
Unaccompanied minor. I started flying at the age of 12, alone on my own. Bloemfontein, JBM Hertzog Airport, to then Jan Smuts Airport, from then to Salisbury, which is now Harare. Took an overnight train to Kwekwe, and where the school will welcome me. Boarding school. So I attribute everything to the Maris brothers who came from Canada. They spoke French. That's why I took French as my third language for my O levels of matric, simply because they were French Canadians. Yes, and French stood me through when we now have people from different parts of the African continent, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, Democratic Republic of the Congo. These are our brothers and sisters who are from the Francophone countries.
Yes.
But that's where I did my matric, which is our O levels here.
Okay, Prof. So, Prof, this meeting, I forgot, this thing of paying. I forgot to pay my thing. So this meeting is going to just kick us out now, and then from there we are just going to log in. So you just press the link, and we go back, in the 10 minutes. So
What must I do?
Be aware of that.
I must do what? I must do what?
The meeting is going to. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I must log out and log in again.
Can you hear me, Prof?
Yes, I can hear you.
No, it's going to kick us out.
Yeah.
It's going to kick us out. Then afterwards, just log back.
Oh, I must log in. Okay. So I must go out and log in again. Okay.
Yes, after it has kicked us out.
Okay.
Yes, Prof. Thank you. So Prof, from so what type of student? I mean, you were flying at the age of 13, age of 14. Now I understand where the aviation part. I always see your pictures. So in that essence. So what type of student were you, a learner there? Like, in terms of grades, were you getting 90s, 100s? How were you performing then in Kwekwe?
We all have to be humble and say to ourselves that we owe our success to what God has given us. We must appreciate that we have not moved because of our own accord. We have moved because we've been influenced by our own parents who gave us opportunities of learning. And I attribute it to them. I attribute it to my parents who, from as early as preschool, they got me involved in a very good preschool and also got me into a primary school that prepared me to go to Marist Brothers Kwekwe. So when I was in Marist Brothers Kwekwe, I did very well in all subjects. In fact, I wanted to be a lawyer at one time because I did Latin. Latin is supposed to be a dead subject. Latin is...
can someone mute their mic there? Tsepo. Yeah. And Ompemezi, can you please just don't allow people to change their mic, please? Switch on their mic. Yeah, yes, Prof, you may continue.
So I was at home with the humanities as I was at home with the sciences. I did Latin, I did French, I did your mathematics, algebra, geometry, and trigonometry as it was then. And I did the sciences. And I excelled, and I got a distinction. In O levels, a distinction is called if you get a 1 in a subject, it's a distinction. From 1 to a 9. 9 is a failure, 1 is top. So it's judged out of 6 subjects. So I got all of them, I got 1 except a 2 in Latin. So I did reasonably well in getting a maximum is a 6, and I ended up with a 7. So, so from that point of view, I attribute it to the good teaching that I got from the French-Canadian brothers. They were expert teachers because the French-Canadian Marist Brothers, it's an order that is for teaching. Marist Brothers in South Africa, they do teaching, just that they are South African based. Yes. And as you can imagine, O levels, you do O levels and you do A levels to prepare you to go to university. And those I did at Waterford Kamhlaba in Eswatini, then Swaziland. And there, for your O levels, your A levels is an entry level to go to university. And I did 4 subjects, and I got 4 A's out of those subjects. So that was, your zoology, your botany, your mathematics, your physics, and your chemistry. And I got 4 A's. And you can't get less than 4 A's. And it prepared me to go to Makerere. But I need to say something there. I know you asked me the question about high school, yes. But I need to say to you, I could not be happier to have gone to Uganda. You know, we sometimes forget that our fatherland, our motherland, Africa, has produced giants. And you only know about those giants if you are informed about them. And the only reason why I went to Uganda and to Makerere is that the World Health Organization, that awarded me a merit bursary. They said they are going to send me to the best university. And the best university in Africa was Makerere. When I say Africa, I'm including South Africa. I'm including Cape Town, I'm including Wits, I'm including Free State, I'm including Pretoria University, I'm including all the universities in South Africa, medical schools. WHO recognized Makerere as the best medical school in Africa. But that was not made known to the African people of South Africa because it will inspire them. It was contradictory to the kind of budget to education that we're being given. So I'm using that as a stepping ground to say, that's why I went to Makerere. And when I got to Makerere, I thought I was a very clever boy. I had O levels, all subject with a 1. I had A levels, all with an A except a B. And I thought I'm a gift to mankind. I know it all. But you're not Makerere. Our class was a class of 100 students, probably not more than 120, 110 students. Now, let me tell you how entrance examination is at Makerere, as it was then. It was not about you've got so many distinctions, got so many credits. These are the requirements for entering. No, it was not like that. It was like this. Makerere provided the medical school for East Africa. I'm talking about Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. These were the 3 East African community members. Each an independent country, but members of the East African community. So you do medicine, you go to Makerere, Uganda. You do engineering, you go to Nairobi in Kenya. You do law, you go to Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. However, all the 3 universities had all other faculties, including medicine, including law, including all others. But the masterpiece, the showpiece of Makerere was medicine. And the showpiece of Nairobi was engineering. And the showpiece of Dar es Salaam, University of Dar es Salaam, was law. So the people who wanted to be doctors.
You're alluding about
yes,
how Makerere takes students.
And that will give you a little bit of the background on the education system in East Africa. And as I said, you have 3 member states of the East African community, each an independent country on its own. Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda. And they all got independence around about the same time in 1962. Now, the star ship for medicine in East Africa was Makerere.
Yes.
And for engineering was Nairobi. Yes, and for law was Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. And you must remember that Makerere is as old as Wits, established in 1922. So it has been going on for a long time, producing a number of proficient people. Now, if you wanted to do medicine, your first port of call will go to Makerere. Now, you must remember that in East Africa, tertiary education was free, completely free. No bursary. Everybody was given a free education to go to university, irrespective of the course that you are doing. Your parents would put all their monies together in getting you through to school. After high school, the government took over. Whether you're in Kenya, whether you're in Tanzania, or whether we are in Kenya. Now, the classes for medicine never exceeded more than 120. So what happened was 1/3 of the first year intake came from Tanzania. The other 1/3 came from Uganda. And the other 1/3 came from Tanzania. And what they would do is they left something like 20 or 25 students that are international. So in all, you would have something like 30 students from Uganda, another 30 students from Tanzania, another 30 students from Kenya, another 30 students from Kenya, and then the small balance would be international students, about 20. So the 30 from Uganda were the top 30 students, matric, the whole country. It was not about you came as a top student from Gauteng, a top student from Limpopo, top student from KwaZulu-Natal. It was 20 top students from the country, or 30 students. So they were the best. So it was not about you meet the requirements to come to the medical school. It's, are you the top 30 in the country or not? So it meant you had, even if you had a distinction, 8 distinctions, the closer you were to 100%, the better chances of getting into medical school. So you could have 80%, but you can't get in because others have got 85, others have got 86, others have got more. And these are students who come from the rural region of Kenya, rural region Tanzania, rural region of Uganda. So these are the students that became with me first year medicine. And when I wrote the first examination, the first test, I got 55%. They were getting 80%. And I couldn't believe it. I said, I have never got less than 70% since I can remember. Now, here's the first test, I'm getting 55%. And they are getting average 80. And I said, how do you deal with this? Do you deny or do you say, let me know what these guys are doing? What is it they're smoking? Then I realized that these are top students from Uganda. Their teachers were also top students from Uganda. So it was about excellence. It was not about I need 50% to pass. No. It was not about I need just 65% to get exemption. No. It was I need to get 100% so that I can get into the medical school. And once you are in, nobody's allowed to fail. You can't fail. You can't fail because there is no need to fail. You are not allowed to repeat. Nobody repeats. So you're going to start first year and you're going to end up in your final year. In your final year, it's a 5-year program because you did A levels. So what I did was to surround myself with people who are smart because they were smarter than me. They were cleverer than me. I couldn't have got into Makerere Medical School with the grades that I had because they were not good enough to compete with them. I got in as an international student who met the requirements, but they got in because they were the best in Uganda and they were the best in Tanzania and they were the best in Kenya. Now I want to fast forward, Dr. General.
Yes.
Now we have South Africa that is open to the rest of the world, to our brothers and sisters who come from other countries. We have a health professional council, which was then South African Medical and Dental Council. Remember, we come from the old apartheid days of when it was still the South African Medical and Dental Council, which did not recognize any degree from Africa, except those who qualified in South Africa. I got recognized and did my internship because I went to do part of my internship in the United Kingdom. After qualifying at Makerere, I didn't go straight to do my internship. My dean, and I didn't know why, because they were wise. The international students who are qualifying at Makerere, let them go to the United Kingdom, spend 3 months of their internship so that they can get the General Medical Council of United Kingdom registration. I didn't know that because they saw that in future, things are going to go crazy in future. Things are going to go wrong. You know, you reach the mountain and then you have an avalanche. So for me, I didn't realize why. And the only reason why I was able to do my internship at Edendale Hospital, it's not because the South African Medical Dental Council recognized. They did not recognize any degree that came from Africa. They didn't. And yet, the United Kingdom recognized Makerere. That's why I went to the United Kingdom and spent 3 months. And when I came to Pretoria and submitted my documentation, they almost threw my certificate in my face. Until I said, by the way, I have another certificate here. What is it? Registration with the General Medical Council of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Oh, why didn't you tell us that? Now, why am I saying this? I'm saying this for the reason. Because even my fellow brothers and sisters in Makerere, who since came and studied for fellowships and master's degrees and ended up being lecturers and professors in South Africa, their degree was not allowed. They had to write a professional exam. They all passed it. And I can tell you, it's a most difficult exam to pass. It's a professional examination. No final year medical student in South Africa can pass a professional examination to be registered as a doctor from outside, because South Africa wants the best, just like America. America, you must write your ECFMG exam because they want the best. And I wrote that exam as well, just in case I wanted to go to the United States. Even if you're a specialist in South Africa, they want cream. This is why America is so good, because they've got people from outside America who are great people. So I'm saying that my fellow classmates and those who were ahead of me, they came to South Africa, they wrote the professional examination, they passed it with flying colors. Now I want to give you an example of many of them away. They're at Wits, they're at Walter Sisulu. In fact, we call Walter Sisulu a second Makerere, because 20% of medical staff at Walter Sisulu, even from the time that it was UNITRA, they came from Uganda. So I'm just saying that these are people that I learned from, because if you are shallow, surround yourself with people who can dig deep. Surround with people that will make a difference in your life. And Dr. General, I can tell you, that was a time where people who wanted to study, they wanted to go to Australia, they wanted to go to England, they wanted to go to America. I tell you, the best decision that WHA made for me was to go to Uganda and study at the best medical school in Africa. Now, let me tell you what was the best medical school. It was Makerere. Number 2, it was Ibadan in Nigeria. And number 3 was Cape Town, and number 4 was Wits. Then the rest, we can talk about the rest. That's how the grading was in Africa. Makerere, number 1, number 2, Ibadan in Nigeria, and number 3 was Cape Town, and number 4 was Wits. But then that was in 1971. Things have changed, dynamics have changed, politics have changed. Things are not the same as they were before. But if you have reached a summit of a Mount Everest, you can always come back to Mount Everest because you had the oxygen to be on top. So even Makerere or other countries that went through political problems, they will still get back to the top. Yeah, so that's my little story there on how I got influenced to work with people who are smarter than you. Appreciate that you are not the best, and to move, work, be humble. Surround yourselves that will make a difference in your life.
No, Prof, that's a strong statement, and I believe out of this talk, if we didn't get to hear anything, this is the most important thing that we should leave out with, Prof. So I want to find out in terms of, that part when you, sorry, and the people on the floor there, if you got any question, please, you are free to send question through on the chat and I'll read them to Prof. But Prof, I want to find out in terms of then and your social life, then you came back into South Africa, you studied in, you did intern. Then when did you do your registrarship years? When did you become the orthopod and what made you think or wanted the orthopod?
Now, as you know, I will tell you, it was not by coincidence that I went to do my internship at Edendale or in South Africa. I had always wanted to go back to my country of birth. And was I allude and I am privileged to say that Lesotho, Basotholand gave me the platform to get good primary, to be sent to Kwekwe, Rhodesia, and to go to Makerere. I told myself that I must do my husbandship and go back to the country of my birth. And in a way, I was naive because I didn't understand the dynamics at that time. So I applied to Edendale Hospital, and the reason why I applied to Edendale Hospital, it was a very attractive place to do internship. I was shocked. At any given time, there were about 5 Africans who were doing the internships at Edendale. And when I was there, we were 6 of us, Africans. The rest were white. Remember, there was segregation. We stayed at doctor's quarters that was black. There was also white doctor's quarters. We were paid a different salary. We ate differently. But we worked in the same hospital. The white people that came to do the internship there, they came from UCT. They came from Edendale, sorry, from Wits. And the students who were doing their block for ONG, they came from Wits because it was regarded as the center for doing your undergraduate ONG. And for those people who wanted to go into private practice, remember those days, most people went to GP. They did 1 year of internship and 6 months of post-internship. So it was 6 months medicine, including internal medicine and pediatrics, that's 6 months, and 6 months surgery with the specialties. So you can see that you are missing with ONG. So many would come and do an extra 6 months, but as medical officers, but post-intern, so that they've got 18 months of ONG, 18 months of pediatrics and medicine, and also 6 months of medicine. So Edendale provided that. That's why I chose to go to Edendale. That's number 1. Number 2, I left Edendale and I went and spent a year in Lesotho to give back. To say, you know what, let me go back to Lesotho, went back to the same hospital where I learned in the lab how to do urinalysis, blood tests, and all that. And after that, I applied to go to King Edward Hospital. And why King Edward Hospital? Because King Edward Hospital, the head of department there, the late Professor Teddy Sakan, he used to be one of the people that used to go to Lesotho and help with the upliftment of Basothos. You had Anton Rupert, who sponsored specialists that used to go on a weekend to Lesotho to operate. They'll come on a Friday, they will leave on Sunday. They will come with anesthetists, they will come with physiotherapists, they will come with the equipment, but all sponsored by Anton Rupert. Harry Oppenheimer was doing exactly the same thing in Swaziland. And this is how I became in contact with Teddy Sakan. And Teddy Sakan said, listen, if you want to do orthopedics, come to King Edward Hospital. So he embraced me and he welcomed me at Edinburgh Hospital, at King Edward Hospital. And that's where I did my registrarship in orthopedics.
Okay, I see.
And I became a senior registrar. I used to do total hip replacements. I did knee replacement. I did everything to a point that when I came to MEDUNSA, I was working part-time in anatomy as well as, orthopedic department at Garankuwa Hospital. Now, but my love was always anatomy. Orthopedics and anatomy, you cannot separate them from one another. They are interlinked together. But I always said I would create a career for myself in anatomy. Now, as I said to you, Dr. General, we are privileged that we had people that made a difference in our lives. Nowadays, Dr. General, you don't know anybody, you can't get anywhere. But you go, but you know so-and-so, you get somewhere. Take that as a privilege. My father happened to be in the same class with Professor Tobias. And Professor Tobias is regarded as one of the best paleoanthropologists ever produced in South Africa. He was head of Department of Anatomy from 1955 until he retired late in 1997 or so. And he only did medicine because their teacher, both their teacher, was a man called Professor Raymond Dutt. Professor Raymond Dutt was an anatomy teacher who came from Brisbane, Australia. He is the one who is encapsulated in having discovered the Daung man. They call it the Tong man, the Daung man. So that Daung man, which is a fossil that lived there at Wits, which he discovered, and he influenced Professor Tobias to become a scientist and become a human biologist. But in those days, the international world would never listen to you about human development unless you're a medical doctor. So he recommended to Professor Tobias, I know you don't want to do medicine. I know you're not interested in medicine, but do medicine first, so that when you speak with authority, the world will be able to listen to you. That's how he did a BSc and then joined the anatomy group concurrently with the BSc, and then left to do his program, and then joined the rest of the medical group and qualified. He didn't even do internship. And then he went on to do a PhD and a DSc. Now, why am I saying this? That he was in the same class with my father. So when he said, my father said to him, hey man, got my son here. He was in orthopedics. He wants to do anatomy. He said, let him come without even an appointment, without even interview. Come, let him come to Wits. I refused. I said, I'm not going to Wits. He said, why? Here's an opportunity. Here is Professor Tobias, Philip Tobias, the best anatomist. And there is Wits. I went to Wits also. It's a great medical school. I said, I want to learn anatomy. but I'm going to MEDUNSA. There's a new university that has just been opened up in Pretoria at MEDUNSA. Remember those days? Even the students that were at MEDUNSA, they were even shy to say that they started MEDUNSA. Because MEDUNSA was a historically Black university. MEDUNSA was going to be the first medical school for Black. But you remember the politics of it was supposed to only take people who were supposed to come from Botswana, Siskai, and all the TVBC countries.
Yes.
So I decided I will make a difference, not to white students, not because they're white, but to students who are at MEDUNSA. And that's how I came to MEDUNSA. And when I came to MEDUNSA, I was met with the first group of students that ever studied at MEDUNSA. They qualified in 1982. And there I was with them in the orthopedic department and also doing anatomy for those who were doing their first years. So without trying to exalt myself, Dr. General, I take pride in having taught every student that ever went to MEDUNSA from the first group that came in 1982. And I thought in 2017, when you're saying goodbye to me there at the SSMU, and I thought that was my last time, and I'm still online teaching the second year medical students. So it's a privilege. It's a privilege that from 1982 to 2021, I'm still associated with this beautiful university that has produced top specialists in every field of allied health, dentistry, and medicine.
Yes, Prof. No. We're seeing you dedicated to this university, and we really thank you. Unfortunately, some of people cannot, or students couldn't, rotate under your supervision, But I'm glad that I went under your supervision too. So, Prof, because of time, you will just be answering questions, that we won't be taking time, just there 1 minute, Prof, and then from there we go forward. But because of that, because now we've been in the meeting for about an hour or so, and in the next 9 minutes again, it's going to kick us out and and then we have to come back for the last time. But in this last time, I want everybody who has questions to Prof. I believe we all had the journey, from Lesotho, Free State, Kwekwe, and from there we go back to Kamhlaba, then again we go to Makerere, we go to UK, UK, we come back. It was a tough journey, and now you are settled. I see your board behind you, Prof, certificate. I once came to your office and medals, and I remember I once came to your office at that time. You were changing office, and you had many certificates, bulk of certificates. Those are also the things that, Prof, I want you to share about motivation. Because most of the things now, the young ones here, as the new generation, we really didn't know how things were going, but now because we got the exposure now to say, yes, here we are in the new generation, anybody can do medicine now. What are the advice from you, Prof, as the professor of anatomy and ortho? What are the advices you have for those that are in medical field, especially the undergrads and also the postgrads?
Okay, I must say, first of all, let me say that, anatomy has given me an opportunity to be able to advance, to do postgraduate study, to do my master's degree, to move on above. But for me, the highlight actually was the Anatomical Society of Southern Africa, on which I am a member of. They gave me the highest award. It's called the Honored Member Award. That's the highest honor that the society can give to anatomists. And not only that, also from the South African Medical Association for giving me the the Achievers, the Achievement Award from the Medical Association of Southern Africa. So I just want to say that one also has to look at this in reality. And I want to say to all the people out there is that I am so encouraged that the anatomy department is in good hands in Professor Ndo. Professor Ndo, who is a new head of department after Mr. Human left, we retired together, and I was only there in an acting capacity until such time that a new head was identified. And I'm just happy that I was part of the move to identify a proper person to head and take the department forward, take into consideration all the equity and the transformation that our country is moving forward with. But having said that, you can imagine how hard I must have felt that 30 years later, I got my master's from MEDUNSA. And yet almost 35 years later, there was no longer a master's program taking place. And I could never get a good reason as to why. Why is it that you got masters in physiology, masters in clinical psychology, masters in other fields, but not in anatomy? So one of the things that I felt I must just sow the seed is to revisit anatomy postgraduate, have an honors student, and also have master's student. But leave it to the new head of department to carry it further. And as it stands now, in 3 years, there is already 6 master's students who have graduated, even if it's virtually. We've got 4 honor students. In the last 3 years, 4 honor students, 6 graduated master's students, and there are many who are already enrolled. So this is something which not only is it a reality, it's happening. But let me quietly say something of also reality. These are master's students who are going to take anatomy as a career to a PhD and also have it as staff members, as scientists. But remember, many of our students who are taking medicine, they come from backgrounds that are poverty. They are probably the first students that ever went to university. To expect that guy or that lady to finish the MBCHP and go and do a master's and do a PhD, I think it's unreasonable. Number one, they want to make sure that the family is getting okay. Build a house for the mother. Make sure that the younger cousins are going to school. Empower. So at the end of the day, they want to go and do work either in general practice for maybe 2 or 3 years or something like that. So I'm saying that my recommendation is that if you want to go into anatomy and make it a career and you've got a medical background, first of all, sort out whatever socio-economic issues that you are carrying with you. And I'm not talking about the bursary that you have to pay. I'm talking about uplifting your family. You cannot be struggling being a postgraduate and you can't put bread and feed your children or pay for the school fees. No. So first, sort out whatever. If you want to go into private practice for 2 or 3 years or something, but have in mind that you want to come back and specialize. Specialize in any of the clinical orientated subjects. What is PEDS? What is ONG? And if you want to come and do anatomy, come and do anatomy. You're welcome. I'm thinking about something like Dr. Mageza. He went to private practice. He went for 1 year as a anatomy and went and specialized as a surgeon. And
Prof,
decided,
we're left with 1 minute. Yeah. We'll just log in back. Yes. To finish up. Yes.
Must I stay there? So I've answered the question. I don't want to take too long because time is running out as well, Doctor.
Yes. But we're getting we only left with a few questions. But
I can hear you, Prof.
I can hear you, Dr. General. Thank you.
Yes. So just want to finish up, Prof. There was a question from I think it was the person doesn't have the name, but the person was asking that, Prof, how did you get to have so much knowledge in terms of anatomy? How did you study it?
I think it's a good question. Number one,
yes,
I think I was taught by the best teachers. And I always tried to impart the way I was taught and impart to the others. I think first and foremost is to look at anatomy as a language. And to learn a language, there needs to be repetition. And I think the best way to learn anatomy is to learn as a group. Whatever you learn, say it to the others. When you are with your fellow classmates, you've been out of a lecture. Identify somebody in your group where you feel that the person can help you. But other than that, discuss as a group. Example, you had a lecture on the thyroid gland. You ask your friend during break time, during lunch, hey, Spani, just tell me, what's the blood supply of the thyroid gland? It might be too much at that moment, but don't allow your work to accumulate. The very same day that you had a lecture, in that evening, go through your notes. Make further notes. And after that, consult a textbook. Don't allow work to accumulate, because there is a lot that you're going to have during that week. A lecture today on the thyroid gland. In the evening, check your notes. Make a fresh notes. And tomorrow when you're with your friend, quiz each other. Hey, brah, what's the lymphatic drainage of the thyroid? What's the nerve supply of the thyroid? For me, that's how I found it easier to be able to not allow an impending test and all of a sudden you've got to revise too many things. Don't let your work lag behind.
Okay, Prof. I think the question got answered, and I believe that the person got it. And as for me, Prof, the question that I have is that how did you manage to be an academia and manage your family too, your social life?
Well, let me put it this way. It was not very easy coming to MEDUNSA, being a lecturer there, because the dynamics were such that Black people would provide the scab labor to MEDUNSA, and the academics will come from Pretoria University or from white people that came through. When I came, there were only 3 of us. Professor Mokgokong, who was then head of ONG and became the deputy rector and eventually became our rector and our chancellor afterwards. It was easier when you are doing a 8-to-5 job to be able to go home, prepare your lectures without having to do too much clinical work. Clinical work was on a part-time basis. So I think, to answer your question, was a balanced act, a balanced act. As a student, as an intern, you know, we become party animals. I'm not different a student at Makerere or an intern to any of the interns who are now there in 2021. But I think it's about prioritizing our needs. So yes, I was able to have a good timetable where I was able to expand my time and also provide a time for family, time for friends, and time from to other things as well. And as you know, many of the friends that I know coming from the days that I was at Edendale or at King Edward's, they call me Fanas. That was a name that they gave me. We don't know how the Fanas came. And I know that Fanas was a party animal, you know, but you know, you mature also as you grow up, prioritizing your needs for your family and the needs for yourself as well, you know. But I think the most important thing is to say to yourself, why are you there to make a difference to other people's lives? And let me tell you, it was not easy. Born in Tabanchu. Tabanchu happens to be allocated to Bophuthatswana. So I carried a Bophuthatswana citizenship and Bophuthatswana ID and stayed in Ga-Rankuwa. But then I decided that
Prof, I'm not sure if it's on my side here. I'm not sure if it's on my side. Can you hear me? I missed you there.
Well, I hear the question about negativity from people. No, that's why I feel that, that's why I said, always align yourself with people that will make a difference in your life. That's number one. Number two, it is true that not everybody is going to be your friend. And it's true also that there are people who will be jealous of you. But guard against that. Guard against jealousy. Share knowledge. Don't think because you know something, you can't share it with other people. You're not going to fail because you told somebody things that you shared with. Remember, one of the best way of learning and remembering is to revise by sharing what you know with others. You're in a group of people. You just say, hey, guys, can I tell you about what I know on the inguinal canal? As you're doing so, you are not only are you revising, but you're helping somebody else. So don't hoard knowledge. Don't say to yourself, if I tell somebody, they will pass and I will not pass. No, you'll pass. Share their knowledge. I learned from my career, from guys who were far better than me. And they showed me the tricks. The tricks are very simple. Study, 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 study. Burn that candle. Don't sleep before 12 o'clock. Don't sleep before 12 o'clock. But make sure that you don't fall asleep between that time. Don't wait until there's a test tomorrow. Don't allow work to accumulate. If you can make your notes from the lecture today and go and consult your teacher who taught you. Please, I don't understand this. But you know who's the best teacher? It's your fellow classmate. It's amazing how the person who sits next to you, who listened to the same lecture, will tell you about that lecture better than the teacher. Whether it's in Chivenda or it's in Setswana, because that's your peer. So don't hoard knowledge. Share it with other people.
Yes.
So
Prof.
negativity. People who are negative, don't hate them, but don't align with them. Go with people who are going to add value to your life, and you also add value to their lives as well.
Yes, Prof. The question here is to, if you could go back to the go back to when you were on your 20s, what advice would you give to yourself?
Well, it's easy to say, what should I have done in my 20s? We learn as we grow, and we become wiser as we grow, and we make mistakes as we move along. But if I were to go back and said, what could I have done better? I would have said, if I had opportunity to learn about other things other than medicine. Fortunately for us at Makerere, it was not a medical school like we have at MEDUNSA. It was faculties of law, faculties of humanities, faculties of arts. And what used to be happen was that students, up until your third year, you did not have a roommate who was in your same course as you. You only had a single room when you're in your final year, third year if you're doing a bachelor degree, third year if you're a medical student. But from first year to second year, you were always, roommate was somebody who was from a different faculty. So that you learn. That's how I got to learn about African Writers series, about Chinua Achebe, about Alex Laguma, because these were people that were doing literature. This is how I learned about people who are doing law, because you'd attend the debates on final year law students. The debate would be, is abortion good, abortion not good? As an example. So you learn from. So my wish was, I wish I was able to look at other faculties. But then remember, you went to the university to study medicine. But medicine should not be the only thing that you go to university on, because there's a university of life out there. So other than that, I would say the naughty things that I did, I may not be proud of that, but I'm glad that I did them, because it's easier for you to be able to advise other people. That's why I always say the first thing when I do an embryology of the human development, I always say to the ladies, don't get pregnant because you're ignorant. Don't get HIV because you're ignorant. Guys, don't impregnate our fellow sisters because you don't understand the anatomy or the physiology of the menstrual cycle. So I'm just saying that I also was a student. I also was naughty. I did everything that every other student did. And without any exception. I'm not promoting promiscuity, but promiscuity is something that young people do, but you learn from your mistakes to be able to be a good partner, to be a person who is looking after your family. But we all have our experience in the past. You talk about legalizing marijuana. I smoked dacha as well when I was a student because you're experimenting. So I didn't drop from the sky. I'm just a student like any other student who like the pleasures, enjoy yourself, but have your priority. So if I were to go back, I would said, be a little bit, don't overdrink, don't oversmoke, don't overdo things, everything in moderation.
like you putting that car on between comfort and sport and
see. whether it's your D or your S or your
D or S, Prof. Yes. Okay, Prof. Yeah. I hear you, and I think this is it's more fundamental, especially if it's coming, from you, Prof. Now you turning 70, and you giving us this, it really means a lot. I mean, I've seen pictures. Those who do not know, you should follow you on Facebook. There are pictures of you having that castle light,
Yeah. And if you notice in that picture, there's a cigarette between my two fingers. There's a car. There is a beer on the right, and there's also a cigarette. But guys, smoke is not good for our lungs, and if you have to take alcohol, please in moderation.
Yes, Prof. But Prof, in terms of just to close, I think I just have two questions. What time is it now? Yeah. So maybe in the next 9 minutes we'll be done. In terms of you, Prof, you're well traveled. How did you is it something that you enjoy doing? Or
Oh, being at anatomy department and being in the academic field has given me more opportunities which I can't even equate in a financial value. Give me opportunities to travel, to go to all the different continents, representing whether it's MEDUNSA or University of Limpopo or SMU. And it was provided that you are presenting a paper or a poster. And I'm grateful to the university for having given me the opportunity to travel. I mean, I always say to myself, I still have 2 bucket lists in the US. And the bucket list is 2 states that are not on the continent. And that is Hawaii and Alaska, which is the other side of Canada. I've been to every state, 48 states of the US. But more important is, my traveling didn't start with America. It didn't start with Europe. It didn't start with the UK. It started in Africa. I got to travel in Africa as a student. I have traveled through almost every part of the African continent, starting from Uganda, going to DRC, which was Zaire, Congo Kinshasa, Cameroon, up in the armpit of Africa, which is Nigeria, Togo, Ghana, Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, all the way to Liberia, Senegal, and up to Khartoum, that is in Sudan, up to Cairo, and on the east, Somalia, Kenya, Tanzania, Ethiopia. So for me, it was know your continent first. Be proud of your continent first. And after that, you can go to Australia, then you can go to the UK and go to the other countries. So all those travels, it's thanks to Sefako Makgatho University, thanks to MEDUNSA. And I was able to travel, I was able to see different countries, get into different cockpits of different airlines and different aircraft.
No.
So really, it has been a privilege, and for me, I came to I'll soon be 70, and I came to MEDUNSA when I was just 28 years old. So from the age of 28 to the age of 70, you know, I've been at MEDUNSA. So it's my home. That's where I grew. That's where I made mistakes and also learned. But I cannot forget also that one of the people who became my mentor was a late Professor Makgatho. Professor Makgatho, I met him when I was doing my orthopedics in Durban, King Edward, and then he was training to be a general surgeon. And he was very much an anatomist. He actually left anatomy department to go and do surgery and came back to become the first black head of anatomy at MEDUNSA. Him and Mangoni Sophie, Professor Sophie Makgatho, who became the first black head of nursing science. So I worked under, when they came in 1986. I came in 1982, he came in 1986, and I worked under him. And he allowed me to do my master's, my postgraduate, and you know, and even at the time when he passed away, it was very sad to see him pass away, you know, because of poor health. So I want to not to say only the students that I sit on their shoulders, but also to Professor Makgatho, who really opened the doors for me, made sure that I traveled overseas, made sure that I represented the university elsewhere, you know, and it's always carrying the flagship of MEDUNSA. Yeah.
Okay, Prof. Yeah, thank you. There's a question just about how do you specialize overseas? I'm not sure if you can say, Prof. Yeah, how do you go and specialize abroad? Yes. So I think after that, Prof will be closing. Yes. And anyone with the question,
okay,
you are free to bring them forth before we close. You can go ahead, Prof.
Okay. No, the world is very wide. And remember that the Health Professional Council accredits all the degrees that are formulated here in South Africa, including us at Sefako Makgatho University. And once we have facilities to do all specialty in South Africa, the world is out there to specialize. So in the UK, you can go specialize, you can go to Australia, you can go to New Zealand, you can go to the United States of America, you can go to the continent itself. So it's up to each one of us to say, where do I want to specialize? Remember, sometimes it's not easy going to specialize overseas when you got family at home, because that becomes also sacrifice for yourself. You got your grandparents, you got your mothers, you got your brothers around. So, but that won't stop you from specializing, because our Health Professional Council ensures that we are accredited international. We are an international university. That's why I would like to recommend to our young students to say, always try and do as best as you can. Don't outwit everybody. Don't try and say I'll be better than the other. You tell yourself that I will do my best. If your best is a 70, yes, let it be a 70. But aim high, aim for the sky. If the sky brings you 70, be thankful because you worked hard for that. But if it gives you an 80, embrace it. So the idea is try and get as much as possible. Get close to 100 as best as you can. Don't look at 50 as a pass mark. That's just a pass mark to get you beyond. Tell yourself that even at matric, I wasn't getting 50%. I was getting 60, 70, 70. So why all of a sudden should fall back? But at the end of the day, work hard and also pray. Thank God we are not where we are because of our own knowledge. We are there because God is also giving us the strength. So pray, but also work hard as well.
Yes, Prof. And thank you for that. Those are strong words. And Don't Forget to Pray. There's a song that you must listen to. It says Don't Forget to Pray by AKA. I know that I do listen to hip hop sometimes, so check out AKA there. There's a song there. So, Prof, now we've come to the end of our session, and I really appreciate your time that you've given us. And one other thing that I just want to give you is this opportunity to just say your last words. It could be a live lesson, live, message that you want to give to anyone. Just your last words, Prof. Then we'll be closing your session. And thanks for joining me, and I really appreciate it, Prof. And you keep.
Yeah. I just want to say, Dr. General, first of all, thank you very much for this opportunity to be able to share a little bit of the background that I come from and where we are heading to, and to say that I want our audience to hear me nicely, that when I refer to you as Dr. General, I call you Dr. General from the first time that I met you. Every student at SMU is a doctor. Whether you're a nursing student, whether you're an occupational therapist, whether you are a dentist, or whether you are a chemical physiologist. Because being a doctor is about aspiring to be the best. So I look at as everybody who comes to SMU is already a doctor, because you see yourself having gone beyond the tape at the end of the race. And I want to say is that we don't talk to people simply because they're doctors. We talk to people who want to aspire to be academics. And being an academic is about aspiring to be the best for yourself and setting targets for yourself as well. And I want to say that with respect to anatomy, anatomy is a subject which is very dynamic. It's not a dead subject. I keep learning each time. And I want to say that I learn my anatomy also from my own students as well. Outcome, and student will ask me a question, and I say, I don't know. Never be shy to say, I don't know. Let us go and check it out. And tomorrow we come together and see what was the blood supply. You also brought up something, and I don't know the question. So we all learn every day. But other than that, I want to say that for all you as a class of 2021, I want to say Godspeed, good luck for the future. Time goes very fast. We met each other when you're in your first year. Now here you are, final year. You're still the same Dr. General, a wiser Dr. General, a more knowledgeable Dr. General. And you also continue to inspire on your platform other people to be better citizens for our country. You can't be a better example than that, Dr. General. But thank you very much for this opportunity.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. You know, Prof, when there's definitely someone that I know who has the way of talking, it's you, Prof. I'll do call you during my Lobola negotiations, just to. But yes, Prof.
Yeah, and you know what? There's a time where, and I used to say to you, Dr. General, that maybe not because I'm getting old, because I'm getting old, is that every year I used to know all the names of the students in the class. Now the names have disappeared, but without singling out any particular people, I just want to say, man, the Dr. Romeos are there. Please, man, guys, all the best. You make us proud, but you as you stand there, you represent the class of 2021. So embrace all the guys there, the ladies, the guys, and forge forward. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. And thanks to everyone who tuned in. And I'll be signing out, Prof, and to everyone. Thanks, guys, for joining. Thank you.
And I'll wait for that time where I'll be watching you guys, your virtual oath taking, your virtual graduation, in whatever form, I'll be there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. General.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.